Divorce happens. In fact, it happens to almost 50% of first marriages. So let's talk about it. Welcome to Divorce Happens, a podcast to educate, inspire, support, and yes, make you laugh through divorce and beyond so that you can start fresh on the next phase of your journey. Remember, divorce happens, and then we start fresh.
You'll get divorced. You'll get divorced.
Getting divorced?
I'm getting a divorce.
You're getting a divorce.
Because she's getting a divorce.
So what if I get divorced?
Hello, and welcome back to Divorce Happens, the podcast where we support you before, during, and after divorce with education, inspiration, a little bit of laughter sometimes, and everything you need to start fresh. Because as we say here, divorce happens and then you start fresh. And we're here with one of our OG Fresh Starts experts who we adore so much, Tramelle. Tramelle, can you tell us a little bit about what you do?
Yes. I'll be honest with you. I have worked in personal and professional development for the last 20 plus years. I'm really a geek when it comes to supporting people and finding positions where they are challenged, valued, and paid with their worth. And in these last few years, I've really been focusing on training, facilitation, and speaking. And so although I know that your listeners probably aren't looking to hire a trainer, my real passion is to make sure that women themselves feel confident in their career. And that's why I'm so excited to be a part of this today.
Yeah, and that being said, though, Tramelle, 50% of first marriages end in divorce. It's about 63% of second marriages, and a lot of people are married twice. And a lot of people work for companies, and divorce affects every part of your life. And so if you are in HR, if you are I'm project manager, whatever, kind of a CEO, right? Bring Tramelle in to talk about this stuff because divorce changes the way you work. It changes your daily
Yes.
routine. And so that's kind of what we're going to talk about today is the relationship between divorce and career, right? So Tramelle, what happens, when somebody's going through a divorce and we have our divorce coach and we have our divorce lawyer and the therapist? We don't often think of a career coach as somebody that is an essential person on our team. But why is a career coach really a necessary person to have through a divorce?
I think in a divorce, you're about to have your life shook up and changed in a way that you probably aren't used to or ready for. And for me, that means that you're probably going to need to change your work life. It could be that you are going from being a stay-at-home parent to now needing to be the sole earner for your household. I don't want to see people go from 0 to 0.1, right? I really want to see people take the skills that they've been honing through their time and show up in the workforce in a way that's going to be able to sustain their family. So when you are changing maybe from maybe you were a part-time worker, now you're looking to move into management. Or maybe it was that you never really worked and now you're wanting to start a business. There are so many ways that the workforce experience is going to change for you. Even if you were a go-getter, hard, fast, you were up in the top decision-making teams. And now because of a divorce, you feel the need to step back. I want to be able to explain to people that the number one factor that is affected by people who are going through a divorce when it comes to workforce is confidence. I find that people are constantly talking to me about, well, I don't think I'm qualified enough to apply to that. And my answer is always apply anyway. But I believe that the biggest part of this should be strategy. I don't want you to just apply. I want you to apply to positions where you know that number one, it's going to be something you enjoy. If you don't, you might as well just count yourself on a one-way trip to Burnout City, because going to a place just to get any job, and that's what people say, I just need any job. Can you just send me anything? When you do that, you really are going straight to Burnout City quickly. So if you're working through a divorce, I want to make sure that you find a position that you enjoy, something that's taking strengths that you've honed in your past. I work with some people who will tell me, well, it's been years since I worked. No, it isn't. It's been years since maybe you had a boss who told you what to do, but you've been managing your life. And there are
Yeah.
so many transferable skills that can come out of that and then be marketed in the workplace. The
Yeah.
problem is if you don't have that confidence, I want to be there to help you market that correctly.
There's so many things to unpack here, Tramelle. So many things. And I love every single thing you just said. Especially with divorce, I feel like more than probably so many other life changes, your confidence is shot, right? You don't
It
have
is.
confidence. And so, you're concurrently working through your personal confidence level and your professional confidence level. And having a coach there by your side really could be the difference between excuse
Change.
me, making right changes everything. So that being said, okay, you've done this for 20 years. What should somebody look for in a career coach if they're looking to make this change?
Such a great question. The number one thing I tell people is you want to have someone who has the same purpose and thought process as you. So I've run across a lot of career coaches in my past. Quite obviously, we kind of hang out together sometimes,
Mhm.
right? But you'll find that everybody has just a little niche where they really want to
Mhm.
affect change.
Mm.
And if their focus is not the same as yours, I promise you the relationship just won't work. So I would take time to not just find any career coach. I would find somebody who really does want to support you in the transition that you're making.
Right.
For me, some of the things that I talk to about my clients and I tended to, when I was doing one-on-one work, I tended to meet with someone first. I want to see, do we mesh well? Are we going at this the same way? Is this person going to consider the fact that you do have experience that just hasn't been unearthed yet? Or are they considering that to be something you shouldn't even think about? And maybe you need to start all over from the bottom of the barrel and make nothing. Those are things you don't want to necessarily take for granted. So I
Yeah.
always tell people that if you're searching for a career coach, number one, you want to make sure that you're on the same path. Number two, you do want to find somebody who has the same working hours as your
Mm.
availability. And by working hours, I mean you may be still very much in a
Right.
situation where you're not available during the day. You need weekends, you need
Mhm.
evenings, or vice versa. Make sure that
Yeah.
this person has the same availability as you. And three, I would ask about their processes and results. So
Mm.
there's a process that I use. It's called the 6Q CCM. My clients know, but it's really focusing on strength based resume and career planning. I'm all about finding your strengths. So I'll ask 1,000 questions to make sure that I fully understand you before I start working on your project.
Mm.
I want to know if I'm asking a career coach to help me, do they have some sort of a process to do that? Or are they going to take the crap resume I give them and just fluff it up with my
Right.
work?
Right. 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 I highly recommend rewinding this podcast and listening to what Tramelle said 3 times because I think that that's really, really, and I'm going to just say that that's just great advice for anybody hiring any coach,
And
right?
yeah,
Really, like whether it's a life coach, divorce coach, like, career coach. I think that was fantastic advice. So, Tramelle, if somebody is they're going through a divorce, they're listening to this, what's like one little action step they could take today to either, to switch careers or to get that confidence in that career, place that they're in?
the number one thing I tell people, especially when their confidence is low, is to ask trusted friends and family what they think they're good at.
Oh, love
So
that.
a lot of times I'll say to myself, "Oh, I'm not good at such and such." But then I talk to my friend and they're like, "You're the best I know." And I know a lot
Mm,
of people,
mm,
right? So if your confidence is low, this probably isn't the best time for you to be taking your own personal stock and then listening to your own poison. So if it's
mm,
an area where you're just not sure, take time and go to someone who you trust, a good friend, and say, "Listen, I just don't feel really great about my skills right now. What do you think I'm good at?" It doesn't mean that this person needs to be your guide. It just
yeah.
serves as a reminder that other people see you as skilled in certain areas that you probably didn't even pay attention to.
I love that so much because something we talk about at Fresh Starts a lot is the snowball effect of confidence, right? And, when we talk about the registry side of Fresh Starts, right, getting the new toothbrush holder from your best friend, it is, yes, it's a toothbrush holder, but it actually signifies that somebody loves you, right? And is there for you. And when you see the toothbrush holder, it sparks your little bit of self-love, right? And it's the same thing with this. And I think what a great exercise, regardless if you're making a career shift or not, that to
Yeah.
do during a divorce, because I think people don't realize, maybe people listening to this know because you're going through a divorce, but like you said, your confidence is on ground level, right? It's so low. And to hear the people in your life say these things about you, it's not only going to help your confidence with work, but also when you call your divorce lawyer, when you deal with a custody issue, right? So I love, love, love that exercise. I highly recommend. And it's hard, right? It's a hard thing to do, to ask
Yes.
for the people in your life. So maybe start with one or two really would love
If
to
it's
love
real
on you.
hard, you can easily start with a text message. Send
Mm,
just a text and say, "Hey, I'm doing this exercise. Could you tell me 3 things you think I'm really good at?" Right? And in that situation, especially if you're the kind of person who has a hard time being vulnerable, proposing it in that manner is going to get you responses that will be helpful to you. So I don't want you to feel like, if you don't feel like you're close to someone enough to say all of the things, it's okay to just send that text and see what comes back. It's all about community in anything we do, right? But especially if you're going through a divorce and your confidence is low, it's so
yeah.
important to have people around you who truly care about you. And I think if you're having a hard time being vulnerable, sending that stock text message is going to
Yeah.
show you who is there for you.
I love that. I love that. We can always write a script for people to do that. So
Yeah.
I love that. So Tramelle, what are you currently doing? If people are interested in learning more about you.
That's such a good question. So right now I'm actually really focused on, like I mentioned before, facilitation, training, and speaking. And what's happened is, over these last 20 plus years of working with people, I have noticed that there are lots of areas, especially at work, where individuals are not wanting to come forward and talk about the problems that they're having. So what happens is, you usually are suffering in silence. This is probably the number one reason why most people say they don't like their job. Not most people. Let me retract that. This is one of the reasons why people who don't like their job are in that situation. They
Mm,
haven't been able to talk about their issues. They usually come from areas like communication. They're coming from areas like not being able to prioritize their own work.
right.
I,
Right.
I like to partner with organizations to do training around this, because if we can build, again, the skill set of those individuals within the company, you build a better team, you build productivity. So for
Mhm.
me, if you're interested in having me to come out and do some staff training, if you'd like for me to come out and be a keynote speaker, or even if you'd like to just do some consulting around how to increase the productivity of your team, I'm happy to do that. You can find me at my website and we can get started.
Absolutely. And all of Tramelle's info will be in the show notes. And I've worked with Tramelle in a lot of different ways over the last couple of years, and she's just fantastic.
Nice.
So last question, Tramelle, if anybody is listening to this going through a divorce, which they probably are, what would be some, just words of encouragement that you could leave them with?
So number one, I know that going through a divorce can be really hard, and maybe it's almost like you're in a dark cave and you're looking and searching for a bit of light. I want for you to remember that you get to create your own light. That you can find even the smallest things and focus your attention on that positive piece and allow that to grow. Take a couple of minutes each day for yourself. Remind yourself that you are not the situation, but you are who you plan to be. I believe that you can say affirmations that will really grow within yourself. I challenge you to try that. I know it sounds a little campy,
No, I love
but just do it
affirmation.
and see what happens. But
Yeah,
I believe that everybody has something in them that is supposed to get out to the world. Find that thing and focus there.
I love that. I love that. Well, we appreciate you so much. Thank you for being here. I know you're busy, taking the time. And if anybody wants to get in touch with Tramelle or learn more information, she is over at freshstartsregistry.com/experts, and her info will be in the show notes. Tramelle, we appreciate you so much.
Always happy to be here.
Divorce Happens is produced by Fresh Starts Registry, the only divorce registry platform for everything you need to begin again, including home items, hype team, and everything in between. Remember, divorce happens, and then we start fresh. We're here to support you before, during, and after divorce. Head to freshstartsregistry.com for more info.